And contractors simply can't be experts at everything. They can't be experts at equipment and be experts at pay-per-click and SEO. It's very difficult. I really believe you need to partner with great people like you, Lance, to be able to say, hey, I need help on my digital marketing. Can you please be a partner with me?
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachmann.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Den this week. I'm with Pete Danielson, the Vice President of Service Roundtable, Service Nation. They're an organization that helps contractors, HVAC, plumbing companies grow their business and electrical. Pete, please introduce yourself real fast. I'm excited to have you on the Den. Just got done spending time with you out in Kentucky. So nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. It's good to see you as well.
So can you tell people who you are and actually what Service Nation does and Service Roundtable? Because a lot of people might not know who they are and what you guys do.
Service Roundtable back in 2002 was started as a website, a membership base that had everything that we just didn't know where to find it back then. It was a marketing piece, a pricing template, a calculator, and all of that was stored in one website for $50 a month. And it started to really explode in the industry, and it has grown over the years. We've added in reward partners and buying group, and then a community of idea exchange and contractors sharing best practices back and forth. And I'm really proud to say, 20 years later, we're still $50 a month. It's grown to over 5,000 contractors. We've added lots of different programs over the years, as you can imagine, but the fundamentals of having a community, a business alliance, is still at its core. And given everything that we just went through with the pandemic, having a place to ask other contractors, how are you handling this? How are you navigating the virus, the protections? How are you navigating the PPP and the payroll protection plan and the money that was coming in? So our community of contractors was probably as valuable in the last 18 months as it's ever been.
Out of all the contractors out there, do you have any core verticals you really focus on more than others that probably sign up for Service Roundtable?
We are definitely at our roots, heating and air. That's where we started. That's where we're probably the biggest. We added plumbing as a vertical. That's a natural fit. A lot of heat and air contractors also do plumbing, but some standalone plumbers have also joined and done amazingly well with us. And we've added remodeling. That's a new one for us. So the remodeling contractor is now in our group. And we've also added connected home. So if you think about the home automation, cameras, alarms, intercoms, everything that's happening in that world and having it connected right to your smartphone, that is a contractor installed product and a lot of times. And so that's become a new vertical for us.
And Service Nation is part of Service Roundtable. The Service Nation, can you explain what that is so people know there are part of the same
and I think that probably sometimes we get confused, but Service Nation is the parent, if you will, the overarching company. And inside of that is the Roundtable, the website with the $50 membership. And we have some other premier memberships. We have an alliance membership where contractors can elevate to a business coach and an advisory board where they actually will meet once a week and discuss their business. So there's lots of other products underneath the Service Nation family.
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachmann and Lance Bachmann Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. So, I mean, in Service Nation, your main goal is just to help HVAC, plumbing, now home remodeling, and connected homes businesses to grow their businesses, right?
That's it. I mean, our mission is to help contractors grow and run a successful business and eventually into a profitable exit strategy. We always joke, everyone's going to exit their business at some point. We want it to be a profitable, successful exit.
When, what's the biggest, you've been doing this for a long time. We're going to get into your background, right? So you've worked in supply house business. You owned your own organization for some time. Now you're with Service Nation. So you've seen everything in between, unlike, which I think is a value add to talk to someone like you, because most people have been one linear way and not, most people aren't going from a supply chain house like Johnstone to owning your own organization to now we're going to start. They don't understand the ups and downs and different pieces of running this business as a whole. They can say they do. You actually lived it. From what you see and where you're standing today, what's the biggest challenge that holds these contractors? You remember the average HVAC company is under $1 million, the average.
Yeah.
What stops them from growing?
So great question. And you're right. I've got a unique perspective in that I grew up on the distribution side. And then I went to the manufacturing side. Then I bought my own contracting business. And now I'm working on the alliance side, where we're helping contractors. So I've seen it through manufacturing, distribution, and actually being a contractor. What typically holds folks back is they are usually got into the trades. They're excellent at their craft, and they got the desire to be an entrepreneur and start their own business. The skills to running a business are much different than the skills to work in the business. And that's where we have come in and really helped a lot of folks grow their leadership, their financial management, their vision, their goal setting. We have a contractor that came to us and he was doing $450,000 a year. This year he's going to do 12 million. And, and over a relatively short period of time. So I think getting the skills to run the business and to work on the business, not in the business, is a difficult transition. And we help contractors do that.
I mean, let's talk about that in the business and working on the business, because you'll meet someone that says, I'm still out there on job sites, or I'm still in the warehouse doing inventory. And you're like, my mind's blown away that someone could actually own a business and still be doing that. I mean, you saw the size of my office here. I haven't built a website in 12 years, right? That means it's not going to happen, right? So it's amazing to me that people. Can you talk about the difference about being in the business and working on your business? I think a lot of people don't know what they mean.
Well, it's, working in the business means that if you take a week off, the business suffers, right? Working on the business means if you take a week off, the company actually probably does better without your involvement. One of the examples that I found myself, and I'll use myself as an example of what not to do. I had the contracting business, and I had a problem with warranties. Our warranties were building up, and you bring back a part and you have to process it, send it back to get your credit. And I just saw those as stacks of $100 bills. I didn't see them as boxes. I was always trying to get my guys to process them, always trying to get them to process them. And finally I said, screw it, I'll do it. Because I was tired of them just stacking up. So here I am, the owner, and I've got warranty motors on my desk, and I'm banging out the warranty processing. And I stopped and I said, there's got to be another way. And what I did is I aligned my compensation for my team to getting these things done. And all of a sudden, now they got a bonus if our overall company performance was where it needed to be, if our material cost was where it needed to be. And now, instead of me trying to push them to do the warranty, they were taking the initiative to go do it themselves because their pay was aligned with the success of the business. That was a transformational change for me. All of a sudden, now I went from working on the business, being frustrated by people's lack of initiative, to now I was sitting back watching them do it because their incentives were aligned with the proper behaviors that we needed in the company.
Can you talk about that? Because that's leadership, right? Like you realize something, you put something out. Can you talk about the leadership, that why you have to put incentives out there and why you have to see those type of things? Because not everyone's going to do what you just say to do. That's just not how life works in business. Can you talk about that? Like where some people are listening right now are saying, well, you should just told someone to do it and they do it. It just doesn't work that way all the time.
It really doesn't. And what, it's always, I use the term, you're pushing a rope uphill, right? It's just very, very difficult. And it becomes exhausting if you're always having to tell them to do it, always having to tell them to do it. And one of the metaphors or examples that I use, I go, if you ever have driven through a community and seen people framing a home on Sunday, Christmas Eve, those people are paid for performance and they are hustling. And then if you've ever driven down a highway and seen 6 guys watching one guy dig a hole, those guys are being paid hourly. And there is a very strong visual to see which one do you want your company to be? Do you want to see your guys hustling, being paid appropriately, or do you want to see them trading dollars for hours? And the performance and the efficiency is obvious in those 2 examples. So from a leadership standpoint, I think creating an environment where your people can win, creating standards and holding people accountable is what leadership really is, right? Is you're building a team of people that are going to be held accountable, but they're also going to be given the incentives to perform.
Let's talk about that, right? Because you've owned your own organization now, and now you're back helping build Service Nation, Service Roundtable. Is there a huge difference that you see between people that come to work for someone and then owning your own company? Can you talk about it? 'Cause you lived both lives. Can you talk about the differences?
Well, I think there is in the regard of engagement, right? Even and it's individual. So early in my career, I came to work kind of thinking about it like I was an owner, like I was all in. And I cared deeply about the customer. I cared deeply about the performance of the company or the performance of a branch or a region or whatever I was managing. But some people will come in and just trade time for dollars. And I think from leadership, what we're trying to do is to find ways to get our people engaged and get them really feeling connected. And one of the biggest challenges that we see in the trades is that we can't recruit and retain talent. And what I really focus on is retaining them. And if you can get people to come in and buy into your culture, buy into the purpose of what we're doing, buy into that performance is rewarded financially, and get that engagement so that they want to stay with you. One of the stories that we hear a lot is, darn, I invested so much in this technician and he left me for $1 an hour. And I say, that's not why he left you. He left you because he didn't feel like that. He or she left you because they didn't feel connected. They didn't feel the engagement. They didn't feel like there was a future for them there. Because if they did, what they would do is they would come to you and say, hey, Lance, I just got offered another job with more money, but I love it here. I'd like to stay here. But this money matters to my family. Is there something we can do? And they would give you that opportunity. And if they're not giving you that opportunity, if they're leaving because they got paid $1 more an hour, we as leaders have failed them. They are not connected to us.
Let's talk about the retention part, because right now, I think the biggest problem every contractor faces right now today is hiring people, right? I mean, it's slowly going to get better. The free money's coming. Well, it is at an end now, but we'll have the trickle effect before people decide to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do with some of the things that you would say that you've seen working to retain employees and to hire new employees? Can you give us some takeaways on both of those?
Yeah, the retention part of it is just what I was saying, is that you have to work really hard to create a culture. You have to work hard to have engagements. You have to work hard to show a future. People want to know that they're safe, that there's a future for them, and that they're appreciated, right? And so you work on those things from a leadership standpoint. In hiring, I think it's really, really important that you hire and set the example of what you're looking for and what that's going to be like, because sometimes, and I did it too, is we hire people out of desperation. We hire people out of an emergency. We hire people because there's a hole, we got to fill it quickly. And we end up hiring someone that probably we maybe shouldn't have. And so we need to really make sure that we spend more time on that front end and get the person that has, I call it the 3 Cs. They have the character, they have the competency, and they have the chemistry to fit with your team. And all 3 of those need to be checked. And, Gino Wickman in his book Traction, he does something called a people analyzer. That's also a very effective tool to look to see if people are aligned with your company and your values. But I'll tell you a story that stuck with me. A contractor I sat with years ago told me that he had a technician that had worked for him for 20 years. He started when he was 20, he's now 40. The technician came to the owner and said, "Hey, I can't do on-call anymore. I've been doing it for 20 years. And when I started, it was fine. I made a few extra bucks, but now I have a family, I have children. I just don't want to do it anymore." And the owner said, "No, you have to do it." 20-year employee. And so the technician said, "Well, then I'm going to have to leave." And here's the part that broke my heart. The technician left the company, but then he left our industry because he didn't feel like the ownership had any vision. And I think that is an important story to tell. That's an important story to share, that as owners, as leaders, we need to think about that. We need to think about, do we have the flexibility and the vision to keep people? A 20-year employee that has done a great job for you, you just let them walk away because you couldn't bend, you couldn't change. And so I ask sometimes, what's easier to get, a technician or a new customer? I think we need to really start taking care of our technicians and having vision so that we can not only attract people into the industry, but keep them in the industry.
No doubt about that. Here's a question for you. Besides getting good help, what do you think is the biggest challenge it's facing the HVAC industry as a whole, besides getting good help?
It's a great question. I think that there's always been the change. The industry, the trades are probably the best industry there is at adapting to change. We've had everything from refrigerant changes to efficiency changes, right? Labor changes. In California, we're doing electrification where they're trying to, no more fossil fuel burning furnaces. There's been so many changes, and the continuation of our industry, and I'm so proud of them, their ability to adapt to these things. So I would say continuing to adapt to the changes, being aware of what's coming with efficiencies, refrigerant changes, regional standards. But one of the things that I think we need to really prepare for is, everyone has seen inflation this year. Everyone has seen price increases from the manufacturers. In some cases, 3 price increases this year. So as the contractor realizes they're going to have to pass those costs along, the price for heating and air plumbing replacements is extremely elevating. The affordability is going to be a challenge. So they better start looking at, if they're not already, ways to make their systems affordable, because they can't absorb those cost increases. They have to pass them along. So contractors need to make sure they're adopting financing. And now what we're even seeing is the leasing of heating and air equipment.
Correct. Well, let's talk about that, because the leasing, most people don't realize you can actually lease them now. I mean, it's kind of new. It's been out for about 24, 36 months now. There's a few companies that are heavily pushing it. Now they're saying, hey, listen, we're going to push this, replace it every 10 years without clockwork, every 8 years. Can you talk to us about the leasing product and what's your thoughts on that?
Think about how the automobile industry evolved, right? So cars kept getting more and more expensive, and financing them over 5 years, even that became unaffordable for a lot of people. So the car industry had a choice. They could stop inventing and creating better cars with more features and benefits and a higher price, or they could find a vehicle for affordability. We're going to end up doing the same thing, right? Is all of a sudden now, our equipment is hitting a price that even when you finance it over 36 months or 60 months, it still may be a bit challenging for some homeowners. So the solution is the lease, where you get a smaller payment, and it baked in is all of the maintenance and all of the service and all of the repairs, and even including filter changes. And most people budget on a monthly number. And if you can say, hey, here's a system that you, not a system that you can afford, but the system that you want, and I made it affordable through this leasing product, and you won't have any surprises. It'll be impossible for you to write a check to me for the next 10 years for unexpected repair, breakdown, emergency, any of these types of things. So there are some real advantages that the consumers are enjoying on the leasing product.
And I mean, it's no different than your Spotify, your Netflix. I mean, we're into the subscription. Like the new generation understands subscription. I mean, iPhones do it now. Samsung does. Almost everyone has a leasing program. You know, kudos to the people that came up with this in the HVAC world, because I mean, yes, there's finance companies like Green Sky and all these other companies that give you 0 over 60 months or 48 months, whatever it may be. But like you said, if I got to replace a unit at 15,000, you know, that's the price of some cars. I might not be able to afford that over 5-6 years, so I might have to go with the lease model.
Absolutely, and it insulates the customer from, you know, an unexpected breakdown and a big bill. Because even with a 10-year parts warranty, sometimes labor is not included, and you could have a very expensive bill on a breakdown. The leasing model gives you parts and labor coverage, maintenance included, filter replacements included. So it really does protect the buyer in a predictive payment model.
Let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about the digital marketing piece of this. You've been around a long time in this industry. You know, you've been in the industry for close to almost 20 years now. You know, how has it evolved, changed? I mean, I love digital marketing. Are you just like, oh my God, it's just overwhelming? I mean, what do contractors feel about it? Because when I meet them, they're like, poof, you know, can you talk about it?
I think you probably could talk about it better than anybody. You know, what we see with, you know, talking to thousands of contractors is there's a wide gap of people that are using it successfully, strategically, and then there's some folks that it's intimidating and they quite haven't mastered it. So there's a really wide range of what we're seeing. To your point, there's unlimited strategies and approaches to this. I think that it's going to continue to evolve, continue to kind of move, and we'll see where it shakes out. But there's no doubt that contractors that are using digital marketing, whether it be Google, whether it be social media, whether it be SEO, PPC, you name it, they're generating leads, right? If they're smart, they're also measuring return on investment, and they're seeing, is this, you know, a win, or do I need to adjust my strategy a little bit? My guidance to them is that in our program, we have a number of great marketing companies. I would highly encourage a contractor partnering with a great company. Obviously, someone like you that you can talk to and strategize and bring them on your team. One of the phrases that I like to say about business is, and it's an African proverb, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And contractors simply can't be experts at everything. They can't be experts at equipment and be experts at pay-per-click and SEO. It's very difficult. I really believe you need to partner with great people like you, Lance, to be able to say, hey, I need help on my digital marketing. Can you please be a partner with me? Hey, I need help on my, you know, X. Can you please be a partner with me? So for contractors, I would tell you, find the right partner, and, you know, and get return on investment numbers. Make sure that you're going where you want to go, and the money is being used well, but get partners.
So let's talk about this. You guys have a big expo service world every year. You have tons of contractors that come in, tons of exhibitors. Number one, why would I want to come if I'm a contractor? Tell me, right? If I'm a contractor, why would I want to go to Service World?
So that's probably the easiest question you've given me today. So thank you for that. Going to Service World, it's this year was the largest contracting show in North America. And so if you want to go someplace and look for different partners, just what we were talking about, there was over 180 exhibitors at our show, everything from marketing, digital marketing, to equipment manufacturers and everything in between. So if you want to go and speak to these potential partners of yours, it's very difficult to do it one by one, or you can go to a show like this and have them all in one room and literally speak to people face to face, which, by the way, coming out of the pandemic is kind of refreshing to be face to face again, right? Human connection.
Absolutely.
So if you want to see trends, innovations, and partners and solutions, there's just, it's just the best way to do it as far as effective and efficiency of your time. The other thing, of course, is the education. We had 40 breakouts with different tracks: bid management track, marketing track, operations. And then we had, 4 keynote speakers that really were from Gino Wickman, who wrote the book Traction, all the way over to Scott Mann, who is a retired lieutenant colonel, Green Beret, and has been leading Operation Pineapple, which is now he's retired. He's helping people get out of Afghanistan right now from the private sector. So, and he talks about the ability to connect with human beings. So you think about all of this over a couple of days, you're going to be able to find maybe business partners and solutions. You're going to be able to get some education through a breakout, and then you're going to be exposed to some of the best and brightest minds on our keynotes for innovation, inspiration, elevation.
Nice. Now, on the final roar, last question. There's a few young people out there that are going to watch this show. What would you say to them about going into the trades? I mean, a lot of people look down on the trades. They say go to college. I have a different opinion. I love the trades. I think owning trades businesses, service-based businesses aren't going anywhere anytime soon. They're only going to get bigger and better. Can you talk to me about that? What would you say to them? Why would I want to go into the trades?
So it's a great question, and I will tell you that there is a friend of mine, and I'm going to name him, Dan Foley Mechanical in Lorton, Virginia. And I hope he sees this because he changed my life. Years ago, I was with him and he was talking like that, saying, some people kind of look down on the trades or something. And he goes, I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud of what I contribute to society. The work I do is the best there is in the industry. And it changed me. It changed the way I looked at things. And I was grateful for Dan for saying that. And so, when you start to think about someone else isn't going to dictate to me how I feel about the trades. I'm going to dictate how I feel about the trades. And Dan was, I'm really proud of what I do. I've adopted that. I'm really proud of what I do. I'm really proud of what we build. The trades aren't going away for the foreseeable future. If someone has a problem in their home with heating, air, plumbing, electro, remodeling, they're going to need a human being to come and solve the problem. And this isn't going to be solved with an app. It isn't going to be solved with offshore. It isn't going to be solved with robots. It's going to be solved with human beings. And that is such a wonderful thing to know that we have a demand that's not going away. And people are really valuing the providers, the people that can come and keep our homes. Think about now with the pandemic, with everyone working from home, how important was it that your toilets flushed, that your water was hot, that your home was cooled or heated? It was more important now over the last 18 months than ever before.
No doubt.
So, right. So I think for young people looking for a career, the trades are fantastic. I had one guy that worked for me, and God love him. He started off working at the airport as a baggage handler, and he got inspiration to come into the trades. He went to school, he worked hard, and the last year he made $130,000.
I mean, that says it all right there.
Right?
Pete,
So
Pete,
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for being on the Den. Everyone, you can learn a lot from Pete. Reach out to Pete if you want to go to Service World. It was a great show in Kentucky. We loved it. I think you're in Tampa this time, correct?
We are. We're going to be in Tampa next year.
Come down, meet Pete, his team, great people, a lot of great contractors, a lot of great vendors down there too, a lot of great exhibitors, a lot of great, nice people. I really appreciate you coming on the Den, explaining where you've been, some of the problems you see, how to fix it. I really do. Thank you for being on the Den, Pete. I appreciate it very much.
I appreciate the invitation. Good being with you.